For this particular assignment, we're going to be looking at freestyle drawing and freestyle designs and using Art Studio to help augment our designs. Now, to begin with, I started sketching out just some random shapes that are organic, they're mechanical, they're opaque, they're transparent, and so you just kind of play with different shapes, whatever comes to mind. This really gets into type of non-objective art. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File and then New. I'm going to go to my gray bar here. I'm going to select iPad Pro, get a nice big file size, and hit Create. 2 fingers on the screen lets me zoom in and out. And now I'm going to go and bring in the image. So I photographed my drawing, made sure it was nice and flat. And in Photos, you can also change the way your image looks. So if I go into Photos, for example, and here you can see I can just go in and use the edit button up top, and I can change things. I can crop if I want to crop things out. I can also change different grayscales. And so I just want to make this black and white. So here I'm going to go ahead and crop this out. And go into my grayscales here, and then hit done, and then there it is. Now I'm going to bring this into Art Studio. So I'm going to go to File, and then Import ... and Insert as a layer, and Import from Photos. And I'm going to go ahead and select my image. Now that looks good, and it certainly brought it in, but I have a little bit of white areas, so I'm going to go to Edit and then Distort. I'm just going to pull this out, make this big so it really fills up the page. And this helps later because it gets rid of all the extra edging. So now as I zoom in here, I see that I have areas that are overlapping, and so I purposely went in and made some straight lines here. So if you want to clean those up, one thing you can do is you have different sections of your Art Studio, and you have your menu bar at top, so these are all your kind of command functions here. You have your toolbox here, and when you press and hold down, you can bring up a sub-menu for that tool. So a lot of these have sub-menus, and then you have your color palette over here, and when you touch your color palette and your half and half square, you can choose different color schemes. You can choose different values of that color, so you can create different tints and shades, and you have different color options to do as well. So I can do multicolored up to 2 colors, and down below in the far left you're going to see that's your layer stack, and so your layer stack works like transparency film. So first thing I want to do is get rid of this straight line. So I'm going to go ahead into my toolbox here on the far left, use the eyedropper tool. And then with the eyedropper tool, I'm going to go ahead and just scan over, and anywhere that bullseye goes over, that makes that color. And you're going to notice up here in the far left that it changes. So it goes from black, and now it's the background color. I'm going to go ahead into my pencil tool, and I'm going to select a kind of a medium-sized brush here. I'm going to use a straight edge brush. And I'm going to go ahead, and now that I have that color selected, I can go in and use it almost like an eraser and get rid of that line. So anything that I want to clean up, so I've got little areas like this, and I can change the scale and the size of my brush just like so. So I can really get in some nice fine details and really clean up all those edges. If I have any line breaks, areas that would be openings, and I need to close those off, go ahead into your eyedropper here. I'm going to select that color, go back to my pencil tool, and I'll go ahead and just bring that over and close that off so I don't have any line breaks. So it's a good thing to check your drawing first to make sure that you don't have any line breaks like this, because that's going to be important for later on. So I'll just scan through, use my eyedropper, select the background, go to my pencil, and I can go in and just start cleaning my edges up and do some nice detailing here. So have fun with that option. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at how we can bring in patterns into our design. And so to begin with, we're going to look at going into our search engine and Safari, for example, and then you're going to look up black and white patterns. Now, when you look up black and white patterns, if you go into tools, for example, you're going to see size and large. I like to select large file size so that way I'm getting really good, detailed, clean images. I'm going to go ahead and just put my finger down, hold that down, and add to photos, and it's going to add to my photo list. So as I go through, if I find different patterns that I really like, hold your finger down and add to photos. Once I have a whole collection of patterns, now I'm going to go back into my art studio and go to my image, and I'm going to start first by going File, Save As, and I'm going to title this. So this is my freestyle design, so I'm going to go ahead and title this Freestyle and hit Save. So every time I do a few steps, I always like to hit Save because I know the program and the iPad can get a little glitchy sometimes, and sometimes it might just crash on you, so it's always nice to periodically save your work. So next I want to do is File, and I'm going to go Import ... Very important you hit that one. Don't hit the Import from Photos because you'll lose all your work. Insert as a layer, and then Import from Photos. Go ahead into your photos and then find the pattern that you want to use, and it'll bring it into Art Studio. Now, a couple things that you can do. First, I go into my layer stack in the bottom left, and I can drop the opacity down so I can see through it. See how it makes it really transparent and opaque? Those are keywords from our Freestyle introduction. And now I'm going to go ahead with 50% opacity. I'm going to go to Edit, and then at the bottom, Transform Layer, and in red, you're going to see Move, Scale, and Rotate. So you have all these different options here. If I just press my finger down and hold down, I can slide through. I'm going to go ahead and select Move, Scale, and Rotate. So now I can make this bigger, I can make it smaller. So let's say I want to put this pattern into this area here. Now, there's a couple ways that you can do this. The first way is I can go in and into my layer stack, make sure that your active layer is in blue. So if you have any problems with things not working, always check first to make sure that your layer is active and it's in blue. So one thing I can do is create a layer mask. And a layer mask, how this works is if I hit this square at the bottom, it's got the little square with the circle in it, and I go Show All, there's my layer mask. Now I'm going to go over to my color selectors, and here I have black and white. So these are the only two that I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to go ahead to my pencil. I have my hard edge brush. I don't want to use the airbrush ones because it'll make everything fuzzy. It won't give me a nice clean edge. So hard edge brush. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. And then, as you can see, with the black, so if I bring this up, it's going to take away that layer. So it's going to start to cut that out, edit it out. And so I can get rid of all of this here. And then I can start to go through my edge, and then using a layer mask here, I can cut that out. If I make a mistake, let's say I do something like that, switch to white, and then the white will just bring it back for you. It's like magic, right? So here you can see there's the white, and the white's like an additive, and the black is a subtractive. So this is one way that you could go in. I'm just going to do this real quick, so I'm not going to be super neat about it. And so this is one way that you can use a layer mask, and if I bring my opacity back up, there it is. And now I have my pattern, which is embedded into the design. That's all fine and great, but let's say that, I've got edges here, and I want it to be really kind of clean. So another thing you do is if you make a mistake, down in the lower right, you're going to see arrows forward and back. So I can undo what I did, and you can go back only so far, but otherwise you can undo what you did. So I'm going to go in here, and then I'm going to just delete this. And now let's try something else. Another way that you could do this is you can go to File and then Import dot dot dot, Insert as a layer, and then Import from Photos. Go ahead and select your image. I'm going to go into my layer stack. I'm going to bring this down a little bit, 50%, and I'm going to go to Edit at the top, Transform, Move, Scale, and Rotate, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in. So I can be creative as to where I want that to go, and and you want to just make sure it covers the whole shape. Now hit Apply. Go to your layer stack in the bottom left, turn the eyeball off. Select layer 2 here, my shape layer, as the active layer, and then close the window. Up top in your toolbox here, go to the selection tool, and in the selection tool, double tap and select your magic wand. Now, the single square lets you do one layer at a time. The multiple squares allow you to do more than one at a time. So we're going to set our threshold up to 32 here. I find that's a nice, good, even number for selection. Let me show you how this works. So if I select 3 or 4, for example, and I select that shape, it's not going to select the whole shape. So if I want that to select more, let's say I go to 32. Okay, now it selects the whole shape. If I go higher, all right, you're going to see it selects everything, stuff that I don't want. So select at the top, deselect, I want to shut off my selection tool, and I'm going to bring my threshold down to 32, and I'm going to go ahead and select the side. Now to get that pattern into that side, all I have to do is go up here, make it an active layer, turn my eyeball back on, go to Edit, and then Cut, OK. Edit at the top on the menu bar, and then Paste. OK. Select, deselect, and then go to layer 3, which I no longer need anymore. It's all the excess clippings. Go to the Delete, Trash Can, and Delete. Back up. And then there is my pattern, all nice and placed within my line selection. So now let's say I want to go in and do that again. So I'm going to go ahead, go to File, Import dot dot dot, right? Insert as a layer, Import from Photos. Let's select another pattern to use. Into the layer stack we go. Let's bring that down a little bit so I can see through it. Go to Edit and then Transform, Move, Scale, and Rotate. Let's put this in over here. Let's see how this works. Hit Apply. Now let's go up, bring that back up here. I'm going to turn that off temporarily, select my active layer. My magic wand already preset to 32. You're going to notice on the bottom here, you'll see the magic wand's active. Select that side. Now, in my layer stack, go back up to the layer that I want to use. Turn the eyeball back on. Edit on your menu bar. Cut. OK. Edit. Paste. OK. And then select, deselect. Let's shut that off, and then let's get rid of the clippings, the negative space I don't want, and then delete, and then there you go. And then you keep doing that with all your shapes. So as you do this, you're going to be filling in all of your shapes here with patterns.